Hi, and thanks for watching the seed update. So we're just going to talk about some issues regarding the autumn establishment first, and then we're going to just briefly touch on pulses with the high rise in nitrogen pricing. So firstly, just to talk about aphids, the fact that we've seen an awful lot of aphids being caught in traps. The issue with that is that they have the potential to carry BYDV into cereals, and that can cause significant yield loss later down the line. We don't tend to see the symptoms arise until the spring, so patience with regards to drilling date is really the only tool that we have against that. We do have insecticides that we can apply, but the efficacy of those is reducing, and we really need to keep the efficacy there for when we really need it. So cultural controls and delayed drilling is going to be crucial in terms of beating BYDV and preventing it from causing you economic damage in your crops. Blackgrass is another topic that is being talked about a lot. We've seen quite high dormancy this year, so the first flush of blackgrass has taken a very long time to come. We're only just seeing it now this week, following 2 to 3 inches of rain across most of the country in the past fortnight. So make sure that if you've got a flush of blackgrass, that you get it out the way before you drill, whether that's by glyphosate or another cultivation. Glyphosate tend to be the most robust option, because then you know that the weeds are taken care of. Cultivation can help, but it doesn't necessarily get rid of 100%. So be mindful of that. Potentially look at upping seed rates as well to compete in case we get a second flush by the time the crop's established. Another thing to be mindful of is the slugs, and we've seen already an oilseed rate really high slug pressure this year, so be mindful of that and be prepared to get on with pellets as and when thresholds are met as soon as you've got your crop established. Just a reminder finally on rye in particular, we're seeing a big increase in the area of rye grown for grain production in the UK. A lot of growers are growing the rye for the first time, both last year and again this year. Just a reminder that the sowing depth on rye really needs to be quite shallow. It's a lot smaller seed than both wheat and barley, so you want to be only a centimetre deep for rye. Give it good opportunity to get up and away quick. You've got very few seeds per metre square there, so you need to maintain the maximum amount of seed possible, because it's expensive seed and we don't want to see it eaten by the slugs. Just to touch on pulses, and I'm not going to be telling you anything you don't know, that the shock rise in fertilizer prices is probably the main talking point in the farming fraternity at the minute. That's having significant impacts with regard to cropping farther forward. I mean, at the minute, the economic returns are still there to keep applying nitrogen. The benefits are there still from applying nitrogen, but also have in the back of your mind that if you're not quite 100% covered on your fertilizer requirements for next year, to look at considering a pulse crop in the rotation. At the minute, there are plenty of options with regard to winter, spring beans, and also the peas as well. So we've done plenty of videos on the agronomy and the husbandry of peas with Keith Costello, if you go back in the channel. So for any growers who are contemplating going into peas for the first time this year, you want nice free draining soil types. That is key. And free draining are the two key elements for good pea ground. If you've got them, you've got half a chance of getting a good pea crop established. But if you need any more details on peas, talk to your farm trader with regard to contracting, and we can put you in touch with one of our fieldsmen as well for some more agronomy advice. And on the beans are obviously a lot more tolerant of waterlogging, so they're generally reserved for the heavier land, but there's nothing to say they can't be grown on the lighter soil types as well. Both showing really good economic returns at the moment, and they have the benefit of not requiring any nitrogen. So there's just a few topics, and we'll see you again shortly on a future video. Thank you.